Hey guys, Dreddy MTG back at you with another MTG Modern video. Going to be playing a challenge here on Modo today with Affinity, a modern deck that's been on the fringes, for a long time. Modern Horizons 2 came out, it got Thought Monitor, things were looking pretty good. It's obviously a good home for Urza Saga for Modern Horizons 2 as well, but it's never been like the main Urza Saga deck. And Thought Monitor has taken quite a dip since Orcish Bowmasters was printed as well. It's just dies straight away to Bowmasters and gives them a big token. But recently we've seen the printing of Simulacrum Synthesizer from Big Score in Outlaws of Thunder Junction. This is a 3-mana artifact, 2 and a blue. When it ETBs, you scry 2, which is kind of nice, actually. It seems like kind of flavor text, but it is pretty good in this deck. And it says, whenever another artifact with mana value 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, create a Construct, as people call them, a 0/0 artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. And the deck is entirely artifacts, except for the non-artifact lands that we got in there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 non-artifact lands. So, and then 2 Forging the Anchors. So that's 11 cards. So we got 49 artifacts, which is a lot in a 60-card deck. So this is going to be triggered by our Affinity for artifact creatures. We've got 4 Frogmites. We got 4 Sojourner's Companions, kind of upgraded Mirror Enforcer. And we got 4 Thought Monitors. And then it's also going to get triggered, the fairway by our 3 Nettle Cysts here as well. Could be room for a 4th Nettle Cyst, I'm not quite sure. I based this list just off seeing what people were playing, looking at different lists, and kind of edited a little bit to my liking. So the main change I made was everyone seems to be playing 2 main deck Metallic Rebukes, and I cut those for 2 Forging the Anchors. Thoughtcast, as is the same way with Thought Monitor, has kind of taken a dip with the printing of Orcish Bowmasters. And I just feel like a counterspell in this type of deck isn't that impactful. Like, your board is going to get wiped a lot by artifact removal or engineered explosives on your constructs or whatever. So I wanted to have something that could refill. And like I said, when you got 49 artifacts in your deck, Forging the Anchor just seems like it'll be insane. This card is 2 and a blue sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may reveal any number of artifacts from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. So not a card you want in your opening hand so much, not a card you want to overload on, but 2 copies seems like it'll be great. This card has been very good for me in Legacy, and I think in general it's quite underplayed in the formats it's legal in. And then, rounding out the deck, you got 4 Memnites, 4 Ornithopters, a Welding Jar. Those are your zeros to get your Affinity creatures online fast. 4 Drums, again, Affinity and fast mana. Lava Spur Boots, new printing from Outlaws, just a great extra little cheap equipment to go alongside Shadow Spear. When you're tutoring from Urza Saga, you can decide which one's better. You can protect a big threat with this or whatever if you only have 1 on the battlefield. 4 Moon Snare prototype, again, just artifact mana. You can also channel it to use it as removal. Don't know how that often that comes up, considering it costs 5 mana. And then in the mana base, you got some artifact lands. You got the new printing Fomori Vault, which is 3 taps for colorless, not an artifact, and it's 3 tap, discard a card, look at the top X, where X is the number of artifacts you control, put 1 into your hand and the rest on the bottom in a random order. So pretty straightforward, just hopefully should be pretty good with the critical mass of artifacts that we got. In the sideboard, got the 2 Metallic Rebukes there. Some people are playing up to 4, I'm just going with 2 on the board. Orvar for the creativity matchup, which has been popping up more recently again. Needle, Haywire Might, Grafdigger's Cage, Tormod's Crypt are kind of self-explanatory Urza Saga tutor targets. Curse Totems for Yawgmoth, and Damping Spheres for Amulet and Tron. So that's the deck. Let's see how it goes in round 1. Alright guys, here we are at the start of round 1. We won the die roll around the play. And we're going to be keeping this hand. This is the classic turn 1 Urza Saga that you quite rarely get to play in Modern. But because we have a Springleaf Drum and a Memnite, we can just play it out right now. And I'm going to play out the Memnite to play around Thoughtseize. We could keep it in hand to play around removal instead, but I don't know. I guess there's more removal than there are Thoughtseizes, but I don't mind playing it out. We can kind of fake having a Surge of Salvation here or something with this play as well, so maybe they wouldn't go for it at sorcery speed. I did arrive a couple of minutes late here to the match as I was making myself a coffee, so let's hope that doesn't cost me. And let me just pop out the chat here as well so you guys... Well, no, I said I was going to pop in the chat, but just have the game log here because I do think that's useful for people to see. But let's put it like this, so we're mostly just seeing the battlefield, and hopefully that suits people. And that is damn good coffee. So Hatsune Lol, the opponent. Don't think I've played against them before. They start off with a Xander's Lounge. Could be Domain Zoo, could be some kind of still Omnath deck, although Xander's Lounge is an odd start for that. Could be 4 or 5 color creativity. And let me make sure I'm just not doing anything silly here. No, I can't play out Moonsnare prototype and still make a construct. So we'll just play our untapped land and pass, so we can use Memnite for mana. And we're going to have some big old constructs attacking them pretty fast here. If all goes according to plan. Okay, so Rhinos. I guess 5 color Rhinos. They suspend Crashing Footfalls turn 2. So that must have been the draw this turn. And they kept on 7, so we can expect to see some Rhinos next turn. But our constructs are actually already going to outsize their Rhinos, which is pretty nice. So in terms of what we're getting from our Urza's Saga tutor here, choices are kind of, we could get a Shadow Spear. Seems like probably the right idea here. Like Welding Jar doesn't seem great because they're going to have Leyline Binding, so that doesn't work against all of their removal. Lava Spur Boots, we could get that and put it on a construct. I mean, they can still get our other construct, but it means we can use the mana right away. In terms of using our mana this turn, we have 4 artifacts right now. So Sojourner's Companion costs 3. This will bring it down to 2, and then if we played Island Moonsnare prototype, we could actually tap a Sojourner's Companion, or tap a construct for the last mana, and actually play out the Companion this turn. So that seems like a pretty good plan. That will be using all our mana, so because of that, I'm not going to get the Lava Spur Boots. I'm actually going to get the Shadow Spear instead, since we don't have the mana to equip this turn regardless. Let's cast Prototype, and I don't even have to tap a construct, actually. I can just tap tap my Shadow Spear, which is cool. So we will tap this, tap Shadow Spear, get this into play, and attack for 7 on turn 3. So that's a pretty good one. And let's just F6 and see what they got going on. Pretty tough for Rhinos to come back from this. They can have maybe a bounce spell. Yeah, no, they just say that's too much too fast. So sideboard options, we are not exactly so well set up against Rhinos, I will say. Grafdigger's Cage doesn't do anything because, you know, when they cascade, they're casting the spell from exile, not from the library. Metallic Rebuke is probably the only card we're interested in here. We could bring in the Haywire Might as well for Leyline Bindings. It's better than the Relic of Progenitus, certainly. So we're definitely taking out Relic of Progenitus. I mean, I don't mind having Welding Jar, I suppose. They probably still have some amount of, you know, bolts, unholy heats, whatever, things like that. I guess we have to think about Tishana's Tidebinders from the sideboard too. There's not much we can do about that either. Okay, let's look at bringing in these 2 rebukes, and let's leave this Haywire Might as a maybe. And then we're still looking at a couple more cuts. Their removal is cheap, so I'm not sure how good Lava Spur Boots really is. Tidebinder on Simulacrum Synthesizer is a beating because we won't have any way to remove the Tidebinder, and it just completely turns this off. We might just get no value. Frogmite's not looking so good. 2-2 just doesn't really do anything against the rhinos, obviously. I think I want to cut probably Frogmites before I cut Synthesizers, since this is kind of tying the deck together. I'll cut a Frogmite. And I'll cut a Synthesizer to bring in the Haywire Mite as well. So just trimming down on the Synthesizer package a little bit. Opponents on the play. We have another Saga hand, though we can't play it on turn 1 with this hand. We don't have a Springleaf Drum. We don't have a third land to even guarantee we can start making constructs off it. We do have a Metallic Rebuke, though, which is great. The opponent mulligans. We don't have a very fast Thought Monitor here, either. We're going to be deploying 2 artifacts pretty quickly. And hopefully a 3rd and 4th, though. I'm going to keep this. I think this is a good enough 7, considering we have Metallic Rebuke in hand to keep it. We just have some interaction against the turn 3 rhinos, and we should have some amount of time to make the hand look pretty reasonable. We got to watch out for Force of Vigors post board from them. They can't play Pick Your Poisons, obviously, because of the mana cost being restrictive. Yeah, I think it's Force of Vigor and Tishana's Tidebinder are the cards that we're most worried about here. I'm going to try playing my Lava Spur Boots. Pass. No point playing an Ornithopter here. Just exposes it to removal when it's not doing anything yet. And what do they get here? A Triomer's Surveil Land. They do go with the Surveil Land, green-white, Lush Portico. This is a rare time where I bought a playset of all of these lands on release, because I was like, these cards are cracked. They're going to see play forever. Okay, they play Gemstone Caverns. Interesting, this is still in their deck when they're on the play. They either forgot to board it out, or they just couldn't. You would think they would have a Boseiju to swap it out for or something, though. Okay, so we draw a Frogmite. It's a pretty good draw in terms of like bridging the gap. I'm going to play out my Ornithopter first, and then play my Urza Saga for the turn, because that allows me to have Metallic Rebuke up in case they have Force of Vigor here, because I have the 2 artifacts to improvise. Very common thing that happens against Force of Vigor. You play this on turn 2, they blow it up in response to the trigger, and you can't even use it to make mana for the turn. It's not what happens here, though. And I mean, I'm not too interested in playing a Frogmite that costs 2 mana. I think I just pass the turn. Like, I can equip the Lava Spur Boots here to the Ornithopter, attack for 1, but I prefer to leave up the option maybe to be able to find an artifact land with the land cycling ability on the companion. They go get an island with Lorien revealed. I guess you can ask, am I even going to do that if they pass till end of turn? But they don't have Violent Outburst anymore, so it's not something you got to worry about. Okay, they do go turn 3 Shardless Agent, flip a Steam Vents into a pair of Rhinos, and we will just Metallic Rebuke that. So first Cascade spell dealt with. Well, they still get a 2/2, but you know, that's fine. Okay, so Can't quite play a Thought Monitor here. Memnite is our third artifact. So Frogmite would cost 1. That would be our fourth artifact. So yeah, just no way to do that here. I think I just have to cycle the Sojourner. Go get an artifact land. And we could get... Well, it doesn't matter what we get, actually, right? I should just get Tanglewood Bridge. So there's Tanglewood Bridge. I was thinking I could equip this, but I don't think it matters too much. Yeah, and here I could play out the Memnite and the Frogmite, but I think I'm happy leaving that till next turn in case we draw Synthesizer. I'd prefer to have the Frogmite in hand to trigger the Synthesizer. And we are tapped out here. I don't think they're going to be afraid of us having Force Negation or anything in this deck, considering we're just all artifacts. Quite hard for us to support that. Okay, they don't have another Cycler. So do I want to make a Construct here? Or can I play some Thought Monitors? So if I just tap this for mana... Well, okay, let's say make a Construct first. So make a Construct. That's this 3 mana. Go get a Springleaf Drum. Then we have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 artifacts in play, 5 artifacts in play, 6 artifacts in play. So we actually can play a Thought Monitor at that point. So that seems pretty good. We're in no rush to like deploy our whole hand or anything like that. Okay, and it looks like we might be getting hit with a Tidebinder here on this. No? Okay, they just fetched an island. Apologies for this stopping scrolling. And yeah, I'm just getting my Springleaf Drum, like I said. Their tap land, we still have priority. This just costs a blue. It looks like they have a Subtlety. Okay, Subtlety is fine. Yeah, we'll just put it back on top. Absolutely fine. And we'll just pass the turn. Again, I don't think playing a Memnite really does much here. 6/6 is the same as 7/7 for our construct and just exposes it to... I mean, I don't even know what cards they're playing, but some kind of removal sweeper, right? Looks like an Ardent Plea. No, 5 mana? What is this? Solitude. Okay. Slightly rarer to see out of the Rhino's deck. I suppose playing the Memnite would have been good. We would have gained an extra life from being solituded, but that's okay. So we redraw our Thought Monitor. We have 2, 5 at the moment. So let's cast a Memnite to make this cheaper. 1 mana, 2/2 flyer, draw 2 cards. Let's do it again. So we got a nice big refill here. And yeah, we get to play our Synthesizer, tap a Memnite, scry 2, Shadow Spear on the bottom, Thought Monitor. We could have kept that either, but it's fine. And cast a Frogmite. That makes a huge construct. And they scoop. So yeah, just a little bit of disruption. As we said, having access to the 1 metallic rebuke seemed to put a wrench in the works for the opponent, and then they just didn't have a clean answer to kind of the saga into Synthesizer stuff. So deck is doing what it's supposed to do. See you guys for the next round. All right, guys, back for round 2 of this Modern Challenge versus Gibby or Guyby297. This player, every time I see them, is always playing like Urza, like a blue-white Urza artifact deck. So I'm going to mulligan accordingly. with this hand, we have turn 2 Synthesizer if we draw an untapped land, which seems pretty good. I'm going to keep this one. They do have like portable hole and stuff, so they could maybe take out our drum. But the potential of this hand seems pretty big, and we don't really have much interaction for this like Urza combo stuff. I presume they're playing, you know, the sort of the Meekthopter Foundry combo and things like that. I haven't played against them in a long time, but I just recognized this name as being what the League of Legends players call a one trick, you know, a specialist, a deck specialist, as we would say in Magic. We do have Hallowfen Esper Sentinel, so kind of going with what I thought. And looks like we might have to pay the tax here. I don't know, actually. I think we can probably just play a tap land and pass the turn. I don't want to have to pay or give them a card to cast a Springleaf Drum here when we can't really follow it up. But like if I don't draw an untapped land, then there's no follow up anyway. Okay, they got the turn 2 Saga, so pretty nice start from the opponent into the turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. So let's see what they rustle up here. They do get the Caldra complete, so threatening a pretty quick start here. We have a lot of free artifacts in hand, so let's just have a look at what we can do. So this is one artifact. This would be 4 artifacts in play for 0 mana. And then I could just play my second land, so that would be like 6 mana total for like affinity considerations. Then Springleaf Drum would be plus 1 mana because I can tap one of these guys and it's an artifact. So that would get us to the point of casting one of our dudes. But that's without getting a Simulacrum Synthesizer trigger, which we just can't do this turn at all, unfortunately. So I think I might just slow roll it for a turn, play out our drum, and I'll pay the 1 so they don't get to draw an extra card. They do have a lot of cards at this point, so maybe this is not worth it, but yeah. And then we'll have 5 artifacts in play if I played out all my guys. Doesn't seem worth it just yet. Doesn't really do anything. Block 1. I could have played an Ornithopter, I guess. Block 1 damage from the Esper Sentinel, but I prefer them not to get the chance to kill it if they have like Solitude or something like that. Probably not that they would play that anyway. Yeah, okay, they're going Portable Hole on this. Again, kind of scuppering our plans, so maybe that was a reason to just play out the Thought Monitor as fast as possible, rather than try and slow roll it, and we do get attacked for 5 by the Caldra token. Okay, we draw a land, which is nice. And yeah, we just hope we don't die, right? And we get to just make a bunch of constructs. They get to draw a card. Second Synthesizer is definitely what we want. And I'm going to just pass the turn without playing any zeros again, because I just want to have the maximum number of artifacts in play next turn. So Synthesizer triggers on other copies of itself, obviously, and then I'll be able to play a Sojourner's Companion and make 2 more constructs. And hopefully that will just be, you know, enough to do the job. Caldra token, pretty annoying to deal with. Although, if we find our Shadow Spear eventually, we can use our Shadow Spear to make it lose indestructible. And then if we block it with 2 big constructs, we can kill it. Like, as long as the constructs are bigger than 5/5s. Okay, and they choose not to make a construct, they just float the mana from their Saga, and now they're playing a 3rd Saga here, so they're a little bit hamstrung on colored mana. They do tutor up an Aether Spellbomb, so that's going to deal with one of our big constructs, but this only bounces creatures, it doesn't bounce, you know, the Synthesizer or anything. And they get a Nettle Cyst with their second Stoneforge Mystic, so both sides here are going to be putting down some pretty big beaters. And we are a little bit soft here to second Metallic Rebuke, and we are letting them draw another card off Esper Sentinel here. But hopefully they don't have the Metallic Rebuke. They don't. And we get to make a guy, scry 2. Citadel can go on the bottom. I like a Nettle Cyst. And currently we have 4 artifacts, so we have to play all of these guys out, and then I can play the Sojourner's Companion. Possible they have some kind of removal here if they're thinking about this. They might want to bounce this guy so we don't eventually get the mana to... Or I mean, we don't get the affinity to play out our Sojourner's Companion. Sorry, as usual, I have a little kitty complaining in the background there. I literally just fed her to try and stop this happening, but she's decided to cause a little bit of havoc anyway. And yeah, just play out all my zeros here. This will be the 7th affinity for Sojourner's Companion, so this might be the time they decide to pop the Spell Bomb. And it is, so that does stop us from playing Sojourner's Companion. But we should be able to survive for a turn here, hopefully. Unless they can get like another equipment or something that pushes damage through. And then hopefully being able to play out both of these guys next turn will do the job. So, opponent is here playing a Shadow Spear. Okay. Relic of Progenitus was the tutor target, and we're getting attacked for 1,000,000. So nothing we can do here. This is trample damage. So game 1 goes to them. That was a tough one. If we draw on that untapped land, it looks a lot better, but I think that's just a tough matchup on the draw. Anyway. So here, what are we liking? Haywire Might, obviously an all-star. This is definitely coming in. Curse Totem could be interesting. Turns off Urza. It turns off Stoneforge Mystic. And maybe like Ginger Brute if they have that, but it doesn't do a whole bunch apart from that. So I don't think that's quite enough to bring it in. We could definitely think about bringing in Needle. Can use this on Stoneforge or one of the equipment pieces or Urza's Saga, depending on the draw. Obviously, we have that too, but often you're happy enough doing that. And what would I want to take out for that? Relic of Progenitus. I mean, if they have the Thopter Sword stuff going on, so be it, but we didn't see it game 1. I'm gonna hope that they're just not going with that version of the deck at the moment. And then bring in Pithing Needle. I'm trying to think what I want to take out for that one. Probably just Welding Jar. Welding Jar just doesn't seem like it does anything. You know, it'll maybe save something in a combat, but that's it. And then we could consider Metallic Rebukes as well, but I don't think I really want to fight them on the stack. Like, if they just resolve a Stoneforge Mystic in between it, means they can still use their mana, you know, just fine. Okay, and looking at this opening hand, it's a 1-lander. We can't cast Moonsnare Prototype or Synthesizer. We got no green mana for Haywire Might. We're pretty far away from this doing anything useful, so I'm going to throw it back, look for something better. Again, apologies for Modo not scrolling there. This hand is looking much better. Forging the Anchor is a little bit slow. We don't have the mana for Haywire Might currently. But I could just throw down the Needle on Stoneforge and be pretty happy with that. And then this is just turn 2 Saga, turn 2 Frogmite, you know, and just get some big constructs going, I think would be the plan here. And then it's a case of, do I want to keep the Haywire Might for getting a Springleaf Drum, or do I want to keep the Forge? I think forging the Anchor is just very slow. We're pretty far away from casting it here. So let's just throw it back. Start with a Misfalt Bridge. And pass the turn. Yeah, I don't want to cast Ornithopter here into Portable Hole for no reason. So happy to just pass. Do they have the turn 1 Esper Sentinel? They do not. So they could have Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm here. Something like that. We will play out our Saga. This could get marched either. The White March is something they could have. Looks like they do have it. That's pretty nice. Now they have a Wear Tear. Okay. So that's going to deal with our Saga. And can play out 3 artifacts here. I'm going to play the Haywire Might. And that's it. I'm just going to pass. I don't think there's a reason to show them that we have these zeros in hand. And hopefully they play a Stoneforge Mystic, get Kaldra, and then we can just needle the Stoneforge and kind of leave them with a quote-unquote dead card. They don't, unfortunately. They play Ingenious Smith, and it finds the One Ring. Damn, okay, that's a good one. It's a nice one to have a needle for, but that is a big beater. Okay, so we draw Darksteel Citadel, but I am just going to needle here, naming Urza's Saga, since that was their land play, and since we lost ours. And yeah, here I think I'm just happy to play Ornithopter in case they don't have another artifact to block. I don't want to play the Frogmite out just yet. I'd prefer to try and draw a Citadel. I don't think playing this as a 2/2 is really doing much here. Like, this isn't the old style of Affinity deck where we have Cranial Plating and you know, Signal Pest and all this stuff to make these Frogmites into reasonable aggro attackers. It's just a 2/2. Like, we're only playing Frogmite here because it has 4 CMC. You know, because it's an affinity creature that triggers Simulacrum. Okay, they do have a Portable Hole. And what's that going to take, actually? It's kind of interesting whether they take Haywire Might or Needle here. Because they might be a little bit more worried about the Haywire Might for their One Ring. And that is what they're going to take. So they get to put a counter on Ingenious Smith, and we are going to lose our Haywire Might. And they play a Spell Bomb. We're going to take 2. No attacks from the opponent. Interesting. Not really sure why you wouldn't attack here. Okay, let's just play a land and pass. Not the most exciting draw. Still glad I kept the Needle over the Forging the Anchor, though. We would be getting run over without it. Obviously these zeros don't look great. Maybe I could consider shaving a couple of these post-board since the game slowed down a little bit too. And they are bringing in cards like Wear Tear and stuff. But I mean, not that they want to Wear Tear the zeros, but just it's less likely that me, you know, getting a fast Simulacrum Synthesizer into a Frogmite or whatever is going to happen because they're going to have more removal. Okay, they play their One Ring, turn 4, and we're definitely just very behind here. It's going to be tough to come back from this. Now they should definitely attack, considering they have protection from everything. Yeah, they do. And we will take 3, go to 17, but I am happy I'm not on 15. We draw Urza's Saga, so obviously you look a little bit silly when this happens. Even we have Needle on it, but it's fine, to be honest. I'm happy enough just waiting it out and getting to tutor off it eventually, seeing what we want to go get with it in 2 turns time. But definitely behind here, the draw engine of the One Ring is doing some work here. Maybe we should just be playing One Ring in this deck. Just a couple more lands and a couple of copies of the One Ring, and then 2 more on the sideboard. That could be the way to go. Because it triggers off Synthesizer too, right? Something I didn't think about until now. Okay, and we get smashed for 4. That's something I'm going to note down. Try the One Ring in this deck. It does make you softer to, like, you know, Stony Silence type effects and stuff, I suppose. Because at the moment, you know, that stuff doesn't hurt the deck too badly, apart from the artifact lands, which is pretty bad, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, and here we can play out our Lava Spur Boots. Let's play a big scary Mem Knight as well. Big hasty 2/1 Mem Knight. Bang. What are you going to do about this guy? Well, I mean, they're probably just going to, you know, Nettle Cyst and have a very big blocker, but they can take 2 either way. Damage adds up when they got the One Ring in play, so never say never. But we really need to see a Simulacrum Synthesizer here as the draw. And given that they already have a Shadow Spear and an Aether Spellbomb in play, even that is unlikely to be enough. Just kind of awkward draws this match, I think. They do have Urza. One of my favorite creatures, I think. I was so taken by this card. I played this a lot in Modern when it came out initially, in like the Urza deck and with Jeskai Ascendancy and stuff. I just thought this card was so cool. It's one I've always wanted to build a commander around as well, a commander deck around as well, but I've never gotten around to it. But extremely cool card. Okay, and they get to put an equipment into play here. It is the Nettle Cyst. And that is an absolutely enormous Nettle Cyst. Germ. And they're moving it over to their Ingenious Smith, and that's 13. They're just taking us out. Say GG's opponent, and we'll call it a round. So 1-1, and see you guys in round 3 to see if we can get some more dubs. Hey guys, back for round 3, this Modern Challenge. We are on the draw. Opponent has kept 7. Luna Love is our opponent's name. Don't know them. And we got a pretty slow one. We got 2 lands, 1 artifact land. And we have a Moonsnare prototype, some Nettle Cyst, a Frogmite Sojourner. I'm going to throw this one back. It's just kind of slow, doesn't do much. On 6, we got a 0 lander. We do have a Drum and an Ornithopter and a Relic, but we're going to throw this back too. Go to 5. And on 5, we're seeing... Honestly, doesn't look too bad, right? So we're definitely going to keep Saga and Thought Monitor. Very important for us here. Definitely going to keep Darksteel Citadel. I'm going to throw back the Island and the Frogmite. So this hand lets us do some stuff with Saga. We don't have the blue mana to play the Moonsnare prototype right now, but we will once we can get a Springleaf Drum. And then we should be able to refill it with a Thaw Monitor, hopefully have some big constructs. Okay, so we're against Yawgmoth, most likely. Very cool frame on this Delighted Halfling. And what do we want to do here? I don't want to play out my Saga turn 1 exactly, so let's just start with a Darksteel Citadel and pass the turn. Again, we don't really have very much interaction here, so if they have a nice start with 7 cards versus our 5, could be a tough game. Forging the Anchor, I mean, not ideal, but I'm not too mad at it either, to be honest. No reason to play out our Ornithopter here. We're just going to be looking to cycle our Sojourner's Companion. This can get another Darksteel Citadel, so it can get us an untapped land here to start making some constructs. Opponent is hard casting an Endurance, nothing better to do with their turn 2. So we didn't see Grist, but we might just be seeing a fast Yawgmoth here. They could have like a Bowmaster's type hand that they kept hoping we were going to be casting some draw spells. We're just getting attacked for 3, and we will cycle this guy. And yeah, it's tempting to get a blue source given all these blue cards in our hand, but I am just going to get a Citadel so we can make a construct. Okay. We draw an artifact land for next turn. I suppose I want to play out Ornithopter now, just so our construct is a little bit bigger. It's like a Chord of Calling here. Chord for 0, so they're going to be able to get Dryad Arbor. So they missed their land drop after having the mana dork, but then had Chord to kind of recover from it, and they do hit their land drop this turn. So Chord of Calling basically acted as, you know, just a tap land there for them. They had nothing else to do with their mana. And this might be the turn that we see Yawgmoth come into play. This is the nice thing about Urza's Saga Game 1 against Yawgmoth. We can consider getting Relic. We don't have Pithing Needle to get. Okay, Soul Cauldron hits the battlefield. It's not doing anything at the moment. No attacks because our construct is a 4/4 here. And they might have a little bit of trouble against a couple of big constructs. If we can get in some early damage, it does limit how many times they can use Yawgmoth's ability, because it does cost life. Okay, looks like another Chord of Calling happening here. No, they can Chord for 1. Okay, they choose not to. We did see the Endurance get tapped there, so we know that was Chord of Calling. Okay, and there's a Simulacrum Synthesizer. We could be casting that this turn, but I think it makes more sense just to make a construct. And then, yeah, in terms of what we want to get here, the only way we'll have a mana available is if we get Springleaf Drum. Then I can play Moonsnare Prototype off that. Have a lot of mana for next turn. Or we can get Relic of Progenitus, try to manage the graveyard a little bit. Because it does seem like they have quite a slow start. Since they have Chord, though, they can just get Yawg next turn, right? Which is kind of annoying. If I get Lava Spur Boots, I don't have a mana to equip it to something right away, so it's not really doing much. I think getting Relic is like the safest play here. I'm just going to get Relic of Progenitus here. And we're going to play our top land to make our construct bigger, and we're going to try and swing in for 7. Okay. Probably just... Okay, X equals 1. Probably just getting a Young Wolf. Yeah, so they get a Young Wolf, probably going to block. And yeah, so we kind of need them not to be able to go off this turn. Okay. Cauldron, they get to put a counter on something. Choose the Endurance. And may as well just Relic now in their upkeep. They just get rid of a land or a Chord or whatever, yeah. And they got 3 cards. I presume they have Yawgmoth. Like, if they're willing to just Chord for a wolf, yeah, it looks like they should have it here. They've already used 2 Chords, so pretty unlikely we just die to Blood Artist right now. They need like, you know, another combo piece and then a Chord. They only have 1 card. Okay, and they do have another Chord for 2. So if they get Strangleroot Geist here, they get Blood Artist, but this doesn't kill me, right? They get a bunch of triggers. Like, they can draw a bunch of cards here, but this isn't infinite, right? Because they don't have 2 undying creatures. And they can't end up with, you know, extra creatures to Court of Calling or anything, and the Cauldron doesn't have any abilities under it right now, so they're just going to be able to make our guys smaller a few times. Should be in pretty good shape here when we untap. And then we will have Relic up to interrupt the combo, you know, next turn. So that's why they're doing this now, I guess, just to get the value while they can. Kind of interesting, since we are limited on blue mana, whether we want to Thought Monitor or cast Forging the Anchor. I don't think we want to cast Synthesizer, like we already have some beef in play, so that doesn't seem too useful. Might be a good idea to cast the Thought Monitor while they're tapped out and can't put Orcish Bowmasters into play. Okay, their Yawgmoth now has Artifact Land Cycling. Okay, we draw Sojourner's Companion. So Forging the Anchor can just find us like Shadow Spear or something. That's kind of what I'm interested in. Compared to just the raw drawing 2 cards, it just costs a lot more mana though. Let's just cast the Thought Monitors for 1, see what we get. Because if we find another blue source, then that kind of solves all our problems. We do find a Drum, that's nice. Nettle Cyst can make our Ornithopter pretty big here, and they got a chump with something to not die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this will be 9. So this will be a 9 power Ornithopter coming in, putting them to 8. Which means they have to chump 1 of these with a Blood Artist or a Young Wolf. I can't actually do that right now. Obviously, it's extra mana, but what are the other options here? Cycle Sojourner's Companion, get another Darksteel Citadel, cast Springleaf Drum, makes these guys 2 bigger each. So 13, that would be 15. And then I can cast Moon Snare Prototype. That's 17. So that does present lethal, which means that one of these guys has to be blocked. That does stop me having the mana to activate Relic, though, right? No, it doesn't, sorry, because this makes mana as well. Okay, so I think that's the play. This leaves us with the ability to Relic, and it also pumps our constructs enough here that we get to do this. Obviously, we didn't have enough mana to channel this. Yeah, so now this is 19 here coming in. So something has to go, probably the Young Wolf. They're going to take 9. Okay, they sack before damage. Yeah. And yeah, they take 9, go to 8. So I guess we'll just activate Relic now. And then we can exile their graveyard when they go to kill the Thought Monitor. Which is something, at least. I do have 8 cards here. So possible we're still dead. That's very annoying. Okay, so I have to do this now, unfortunately, because otherwise they're going to get an extra creature and an extra trigger, like with the bowmasters. They can sack it again. So this just might be it. They are killing our thought monitor here rather than getting in for one, it looks like. Okay, they just tap out for a grist. Play Young Wolf. They don't have the green pips required for Court of Calling with these creatures. But they can ping us a good few times. They could have activated Soul Cauldron before their yard got exiled too, right? To just put a counter on something, but it doesn't look like that actually matters that much in the end. Okay, killing the flyer here is definitely smart. And I think I'm going to need to find my Shadow Spear to be able to win here. We're not actually... Oh, we are actually dead. Wow, they just have Exactsies here. Sacking with Yogg. Wow, it's just barely enough to... Why aren't they killing us? This triggers on itself, right? Oh, they can just attack us for one too. Yeah, sure thing. Okay, good game. Just barely dying to Blood Artist there. So I guess we had to not exile Relic, but I mean, we're still just dead either way. Okay, so going to game 2, Curse Totem. This is obviously the matchup for it. Just turns off all activated abilities from everything in their deck. Grafdigger's Cage. I can't remember if this is still bugged on Moto or not. It's supposed to not let Grist enter the battlefield, because it says creature cards in libraries can't enter the battlefield, and Grist is a creature card when it's in the library. But I can't remember if it's bugged or if it works properly. Either way, you know, Chord maybe is not enough reason to bring it in regardless, because they're not casting any cards from their graveyard. They do have Elven Chorus, which does let them cast cards from their library. I don't know if the Yawgmoth builds are still playing that. That is maybe a consideration. Needle, obviously we can put on Cauldron or Yawgmoth, so that seems like a superstar. Crypt, I don't know. It's good to be able to handle the graveyard, but I don't really know how interested I am in that. And then Metallic Rebuke, considering they have Delighted Halfling anyway for kind of the key cards of like Grist and Yawgmoth, they're both legendaries. I'm not really too interested in Metallic Rebuke either. And then cuts, I mean, Memnites, like X1 seem pretty bad against the Bowmaster's Yawgmoth deck, so that's kind of what I'm thinking of cutting first. Just slow us down a little bit. Welding Jar is not very good either. It stops Grist from destroying stuff, but I don't think it's actually that useful. I guess Force of Vigor is a consideration as well. They probably have a few Force of Vigors in there. I think we can just cut 3 Memnites though. They might be cutting Bowmasters against us as well, but considering we have Thought Monitor, I imagine at least a couple remain in. Okay, and let's be on the play. And here, yeah, we have no Drum, but this is a nice turn to Saga Hand. A couple of Ornithopters make the constructs bigger. We have Forging the Anchor to refill. We have Nettle Assist as a threat. It's pretty slow, but I think it's pretty good, this hand. Actually have a blue source for once. That's definitely been a pain point with this deck. Maybe the mana base needs a little bit of reconfiguring to support the blue spells a little bit better. Okay, and they start with a young wolf. Definitely prefer to see that than a delighted halfling. Okay, Saga. Let's play out our Moonsnare prototype. No reason to play out an Ornithopter though. Each opponent sacrifices an enchantment. Sure. Okay, say goodbye to our Urza Saga then. And they're going to swing in for a massive 2. Okay, so happy enough just to play Darksteel Citadel here. Cast an Ornithopter. Do I want to cast both Ornithopters? I'm not quite sure. Okay, so yeah, let's just cast this Nettlecyst. And yeah, they only have 2 mana. I don't really see much reason to play the other Ornithopter out. Let's just pass the turn. Okay, just seeing combat and pass. Wow, okay, so I guess they got Court of Calling in hand. They might have Force of Vigor and don't think they have a good target either. Is that possible? Let's play our land. I'm trying to, like, am I overplaying into something here if I, you know, if I make this guy bigger, attack? I don't know. Let's play an Ornithopter, see what happens. big play. Okay, 6. 6/6. They're gonna block with the Young Wolf. Do I want to just attach this here instead? Then we can't play our Sojourner's Companion. I think I'm just gonna cast Forging the Anchor. Can find some more cheap artifacts off this. And yeah, this is what I'm saying about this card, man. This is a draw 4. 3 mana, draw 4. Put an island on the bottom. Seems pretty good to me. So let's make a mana. Play Springleaf Drum. And listen, call me crazy, but I'm just going to go for it. Call me crazy. Listen, if you're an Affinity player, this is what you want to do. You just want to, like, dump your entire hand onto the battlefield, right? So, turn 4, we have 12, 14, 25 power in play. They do have a Bowmasters to block here. Hopefully they can't kill both our Ornithopters, and then next turn we get to attack in the air for a bunch. Pretty anemic hand here from the opponent. They must have hoped we were on the Thought Monitor plan. Bowmasters, you know, it's providing chump blockers, but otherwise not particularly good against us. Okay, and we take that game too. Deck doing what it's supposed to. Do we want Metallic Rebuke on the draw? I'm quite attracted to this card on the draw. I think, especially now that we've seen they are leaving in the Bowmasters, I can definitely cut the last Mem Knight for a Metallic Rebuke. And we can maybe cut... I really like Ornithopter against them, actually. I don't want to cut that. We could maybe... We could cut Lava Spur Boots. It's pretty good against the Yawgmoth ability. But they generally have chump blockers in play. Like, it's rare that we're going to want this off Saga. So I'm going to get rid of that and bring in the last Metallic Rebuke. We are slightly bringing down our artifact count here for Forging the Anchor, but we're still, like, the deck is still like 3/4 artifacts. So... shouldn't make too much of a difference. And man, every time I cast Forging the Anchor, I think I want more of them in the deck, but you kind of can't have too many of them in the deck since they're not artifacts. Okay, opponent mulligans to 6 here. We got a very slow one. Only 2 mana. But we do have some artifact land cyclers. So we would have turn 3 Forging the Anchor to refill. We wouldn't have turn 3 like Thought Monitor though. You know, I think this is reasonable enough to keep on the draw when the opponent mulligans. Like, a bit scarier if they keep 7, but when they're going to 6, you know, they might just not draw us. And this is like pretty functional, and we get to see another card. Okay, start off with the tap land and pass back. Imagine they get Underground Mortuary here. Yeah, Surveil lands just in every deck now. Obviously great in Yawgmoth, they use their graveyard a little bit, right? They put a Cauldron in the graveyard, I don't mind seeing that. And 2 mana for Hapatra. Okay. Sort of just another combo piece. I don't think it does particularly much against us. And we will just play a Saga here. Pass the turn. I don't think we want to play out an Ornithopter. And I will be looking to cycle one of these companions for Darksteel Citadel. Just get our Affinity going a little bit more. Twilight Mire, so no mana problems for the opponent. They do have a Grist. Doesn't do a whole lot on this board, and hopefully will go wide enough that it's not too much of a problem. They mill a land. Patra puts a counter on itself to make a snake. So maybe a sign that they have a Court of Calling that they want another creature for, or, you know, could just be the standard play with Hapatra. I don't really know. A lot of lists don't run that card anymore, so I think it's been a while since I played against it. Okay, and then here we have 1 artifact in play currently. This will be 2. We can play a 3rd. So that brings our Affinity creatures down to 4 mana total. And then I can make a Construct, or I can play out the Nettle Cyst this turn. So I think I definitely like that. Play out the Ornithopter. And then I like just passing, just making a Construct. Okay, they mill with Grist. A Grist goes in the bin, which is an insect, so they get an extra mill and an extra 1/1. I'm gonna make a Construct here. See if I'm allowed to block. Looks like maybe we're getting Force of Vigored. Yeah, Force of Vigor on Saga and a Construct token. That's fine. They can they can take out our, this was a punt, I forgot. They can take out our Ornithopter here because the 1 damage marked. So that was actually a big punt. Exclamation mark punt in the chat, guys, for that one. Either way, they're looking pretty far ahead. We're not exactly in the deck where we have access to a sweeper. Play out a 3rd artifact land here and an Ornithopter. That would get us a reduction of 4 on our Affinity creatures. They only have 2 creature cards in their graveyard for the Grist Ultimate, so that's not too worrying yet, although they do have a lot of friggin' 1/1s at this point. It's possible I'm just supposed to cast Forging the Anchor. Although I don't think so. I think we just have too many cards in hand for that. I think I'm just supposed to go like Ornithopter, Nettle Cyst. And just have more mana next turn. And just hopefully not be dead. We could just be dead though. 3 cards. They can kill our germ. This time I will not punt and block and lose an affinity. They channel their Takenuma, and they get a Yawgmoth back in their hand. No mana to cast it this turn, though. Interesting they did that main phase. And they do kill our germ token. And we are going to be taking 5. Okay, so they don't have Cord in hand either when they're attacking with everything. And they do put a counter, of course, on our Ornithopter and make a 1/1. This would be another spot where I'd be alright with having some 1-rings, you know? Although when they have Blood Artist, I guess they can still go off on our upkeep after the ring protection wears off, but it would be nice in spots like these where I just want to keep developing my mana and kind of just play one big thing. So we have 4 artifacts in play. This is number 5. These guys would cost 2, then 1. I think I'm in for that. Get the first Thought Monitor down, draw 2. Okay, that is a nice one, the Cursed Totem, when they've already used a Force of Vigor. Could be really greedy and put and cast a second Thought Monitor, looking for like, you know, a Springleaf Drum or something like that. But yeah, I think we just want to cast the Needle. Name Yawgmoth Thran Physician. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can also put down the Sojourner's Companion. So if we get to pass here, they have another tick down on Grist to kill, you know, our 4/4 or whatever. Our life total is getting dangerously low here, and they do have Pendelhaven to sneak through an extra damage. They are going to minus the Grist, kill our 4/4. And I'm pretty happy here. This doesn't have Death Touch, right? No, it doesn't. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to trade here if they want to put a counter on this guy. Oh, I'm an idiot. They have Pendelhaven and it was a 1/1 because of the counter. Another punt. Oh, this is terrible, guys. This is the point where I'm like, cut the feed. Cut the feed. It's over. Okay, this is a great draw, though. The Magic Gods might have just let us out of this one, because we do get to get our board back into play here. Do I want a Saga right now? Kind of not really. Because I got to pay 1 mana here for my Thought Monitor. I'm going to draw 2, and I still have a lot to do with my mana after that. I think I'm going to bottom both of these, because I do want... kind of do want to land, but I kind of just want more, like, affinity creatures. So this is the first time we get to see this. I think we get to make a construct. And we get to draw 2 cards. Okay, and that's awesome. We get a Frogmite. That gets us another big construct. So we have 5 blockers. They can kill one of them with Grist. So we shouldn't be dead this turn, hopefully. Unless they have something real nice in hand. They have another Force of Vigor. Rex Age. Okay, so they get to kill one of our big boys or kill the Needle. They do kill the Needle. And so is this infinite with Hapatra, right? They get to put a... whenever they put a -1 counter on something, they make a snake with Death Touch. So this essentially draws them a bunch of cards, kills our guys. Damn. Okay. So if they hadn't found the Rex Age and we'd lived an extra turn here, I think we might have had the game. It's kind of still up in the air. If I hadn't thrown away that Ornithopter and we had an extra piece of Affinity, then yeah, maybe things would have just gone a turn faster for us. And we maybe could have gotten out of this situation. We're not dead here. Like, they still have to find Court of Calling to kill us. Court of Calling basically means they're no longer losing life from using Yawgmoth. So they're just getting to draw a bunch of cards here every time they do this, but they are losing a life. make a snake, sack the snake, make a snake, sack the snake, draw a card every time. And they're losing a life every time if people don't understand what's happening. Looks like they... now they can proliferate. Nice little trick with Yawgmoth here. Puts a counter on Grist. And they get to increase the -1 counters across the board on our creatures. And that actually makes 4 snakes. That's so sweet. Yawgmoth is such a sick card. And I think this is going to be enough, yeah, to just to get in and kill us, is it? They can do this like 6 more times. Oh no, they can just minus. GG's, well played to the opponent. Very nicely done. And yeah, definitely a punt. Just twice with Hibatra. First missing that it could just kill the Ornithopter, and then second missing that it was... I was thinking of it as a 2-2. I forgot that it was now a 1-1. I'd even mentioned Pendelhaven, like the same turn, so that is awkward. Oh wait, we're only going to 1? Oh, thought I was dead. Yes, I get a draw step. I didn't mean to bad manner my opponent here. I thought they had exact lethal. They actually did if they just put a counter on something. Considering they had the cauldron, but yeah, I don't think anything gets us out of this. We've no haste creatures to do lifelink things or whatever. May as well see what we can do, I suppose. That's what I get for playing and working, they say. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what could go wrong for them here. So we could play a second Synthesizer, make a guy, play a Frogmite, make 2 guys, but we don't have enough mana to do anything else. Let's throw out a Hail Mary, Forging the Anchor, just to show how good this card is. Literally draw 5 with this card. How sick is Forging the Anchor, man? Boom. But yeah, it's still not going to do anything for us here, unfortunately. I mean, I do get to just, yeah, I could play a Thought Monitor and spin the wheels here a little bit more, you know? But I don't think there's a way out for us, unfortunately. Play a drum. Play a Frogmite, make a guy. You know, at least I get to show you guys that the deck is capable of doing some stuff, even when we're dead on board. But yeah, GG's to the opponent. X2 means we're out of contention for top 8 most likely, but we can keep playing and see what the deck can do. So I'll see you next round. Alright guys, here we are back for round number 4. I wish my opponent good luck and hype chat here. And Self-Isec, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, is usually on mono black, like the rack scam, I think. So given that, like, they're a trophy leader, I think they top 8'd the showcase challenge with it, so that's what I would expect. Yeah, starting with Nurborg here. So given that, I pretty much wouldn't mulligan any hand, because I just don't want to mulligan against scam in general. I just want to keep extra cards in my hand, and this hand looked perfectly reasonable regardless. So we're just going to start off with a tap land, go turn 2 Saga, and hopefully our Saga tokens are bigger than theirs, and we can just stick a Simulacrum Synthesizer, win the game. Forging the Anchor obviously should be very good as well for card advantage in the matchup. And here I get to drop double Springleaf Drum. Doesn't do anything, but adds to our affinity count for future turns. Maybe not mono black, they do have fetch lands here. Could just be for surveil lands. I could imagine even monocolored decks wanting to play some fetches just to have access to the surveil lands now. Okay, and they just straight away cling to dust to redraw, obviously realizing it's not going to be great against us in the matchup, so they may as well just see a new card. And we are getting scammed here. Hand is very resilient. They're kind of priced into taking, you know, Forging the Anchor and Thought Monitor, I guess. Maybe if they have Orcish Bowmasters in hand, they're like, okay, we don't need to take the Thought Monitor. But, you know, either way, we're going to be left with a Nettle Cyst, I think, because I think they can't afford to let us cast Forging the Anchor. It's just going to put us right back up there in cards. We've hit like 4 or 5 cards both times we've cast that. Okay, they do take the Thought Monitor first. The card they exiled, by the way, was a Not Dead After All. And there's the second one, so only 2 copies of that left in their deck. And maybe an Undying Evil or whatever. And they do take the Forging the Anchor. So, and that's such a great top deck. That's kind of unfortunate for the opponent. And yeah, well, I'm not really too worried about getting like scammed again, but this card is just so ridiculously impactful. I think we almost just can't lose after playing it. So yeah, let's do this. We can put Darksteel Citadel on the bottom and put another Thought Monitor on top. That's going to come out next turn for 1 mana. Okay, they play a Voidwalker, no problem. And it's like, do I even want to make a construct here? You know, it gives me something to tap a Springleaf Drum with, because we currently only have 5 Affinity. What will I be getting here off this anyway? No, I think I'm just tapping this for mana, because I want to just start. I just want to get my guys out. We already have 2 drums, so a 3rd Springleaf Drum obviously doesn't do very much here. We could go for a Welding Jar, just to protect us from removal. We could go for a Relic, just to mess with their graveyard a little bit. We could go for Lava Spur Boots. The world is kind of our oyster here, I feel like. Could go for an Ornithopter. Ornithopter lets us cast a Nettle Cyst. No, we can already cast a Nettle Cyst and a Thought Monitor. So there's no real point getting an Ornithopter. I think I like getting a Shadow Spear here, maybe. To just do something with next turn. Our board is going to be huge no matter what. And we're going to use all our mana, because I'm going to go Nettle Cyst and then tap that creature to cast Thought Monitor, and that's going to make a bunch of constructs. And we can tap one of the constructs to have another mana. That probably makes me want to get Lava Spur Boots, actually. So let's do this. Cast Nettle Cyst. Get some big boys. Then I can tap my Germ, play a Thought Monitor, get another big boy. This may seem academic, but you know, you should always think about these things. Couple of 10/10s. We do hit a mana source. Second mana doesn't do anything for us right now, though. So let's play the tap land. And let's tap our 2/2 and give this guy haste and ward 1. They don't have removal. They do, they have a Fatal Push. So they get to spend a card here, but we still have 2 10/10s in play, as well as a 2/2 flyer, and we're going to get to cast another Nettle Cyst next turn and make another big old construct. Love the art on this token, it's so sick. Okay, and opponent concedes. We go to game 2. So what am I going to be worried about here? They could have engineered explosives, even though they're only mono black, though I suppose we should more likely expect like a Ratchet Bomb, or the Brothers War version of that, whatever it's called, the legendary one with the oil counters. Their cards are all very cheap, so I don't really like Metallic Rebuke. Haywire Might is good against their Saga stuff. Curse Totem stops, you know, Voidwalker, but that's about it. Needle is decent. Cage is good against the scam stuff. Crypt is good against the scam stuff. Although that said, on the draw, these cards aren't doing much if they just scam us turn 1, but it does help us later on. And they might be trading in combat, considering, you know, we have a lot of beefy guys. Again, I would expect them to keep in Bowmasters. We definitely want Haywire Might. Needle, I think, is pretty reasonable, just against the Saga plan that they have going on. you know, given that they have Bowmasters, we can probably just cut the Mem Knights. Yeah, let's just bring these in and cut the Mem Knights. And I like the fact that we're bringing in all artifacts as well, obviously, just keeping our artifact count up. Does make the deck a little bit slower, but we're taking out kind of the crappiest cards, you know? We don't want to have to, you know, mulligan or get scammed and then just be stuck with Mem Knights in our hand. Not that this is much better, but like I said, they mulligan. I'm basically just going to keep anything semi-functional against a scam deck. The games are just likely to go longer and grindier when they're turn 1 griefing you, so or just a Thoughtseize, you know. So I'm not really in the business of going down on cards if it looks like I can play a game of Magic with 7. They take our Nettlecyst, just most powerful card in the hand. And I'm just going to go Darksteel Citadel Relic here. May as well take the Thoughtseize out of their yard while it's the only card. You know, just it doesn't really matter, but just give them fewer choices over what to exile. And it gives us that sweet F6 value, of course. And turn 2, we get to play our Saga. This did tell them what our draw step was, but doesn't exactly matter that much. They have a Saga of their own on turn 2, and no other play. Let's play our Saga. And you know, let's just play a Welding Jar and get a Frogmite into play. Oh shit, I overtapped. Excuse the language. I could have left the Relic ability up, so that's definitely a punt there. I forgot my Darksteel Citadel was an artifact, so I thought I had to pay 2. Always double check these things is the moral of the story there. Okay, they have no fetch land anyway, so we're not punished by them getting to put an extra card in their graveyard and like scam us or whatever. Get to untap. We do hit our draw step on turn 3, which is awesome. Get to make a construct. And Welding Jar looks like it's going to do a little bit of work here. Triple Moonsnare prototype is not exactly what I want. 3 of a kind is not as good in Magic as it is in poker, unfortunately. And I'm just going to pass. I don't really want to have to blow my Welding Jar just trying to attack for 2. And I prefer to just keep all the artifacts in play. I don't really know what Mono Black's options are in terms of mass removal of artifacts, apart from the sort of artifact options, like I said. Okay, they make a construct. I'm going to play around Pithing Needle by also making a construct in response. Because once they get the needle, obviously you can't see that and then name something. It just comes into play and they name something straight away. So I don't want to lose the opportunity to make a construct. They might still name Relic or something here if they have... Yeah, they do get a needle, and I'd say they're probably naming Relic then. They might still name Saga if they just don't think they can beat a second construct. They name Welding Jar, very interesting. So they're thinking, okay, I can just beat you in a fair game. I just can't let you regenerate something. Let's take a card out of their graveyard. And so they could have like Dismember here. I'm just going to make another construct. I don't like, considering they have constructs, they can't really engineered explosive sus like profitably or anything. I can get Haywire Might here. We don't have the green mana for it though. Very awkward thing about this deck. We'll get a needle and just name Saga ourselves now that we're out of Sagas. I mean, I think that's probably just the play, right? Just say no more Urza, no more fun for anyone, no more Urza Sagas for anyone. And I'm going to make our dudes bigger here. Play this and attack for 9. And now with the Moonsnare prototype in play, we are able to crack our Relic for 1 mana to stop that, even if they have an extra card to stop them from scamming us. Though, to be honest, if they did Thoughtseize us or scam us, do we really care that much? Probably not. We can probably just lose these prototypes. We're even getting to the point where we could be channeling these to get rid of constructs, which is kind of funny. Okay, we also hit an Otawara, which is just another one of the same effect. And I'm guessing they have a fatal push, considering that they named welding jar. They can activate Mishra's factory here as well. I guess I'll just attack with my 9/9s. If they activate factory, I can auto-wire it because it'll then be, an artifact creature. Okay, looks like they're just going to chump. And I don't think I want to play out the auto-wire here. It's kind of hard to see how we lose with 3 bounce spells in hand. So I think I'm just happy to pass. Okay. They're not. They can't make a construct. Sorry, obviously, because we did that. So they just float the mana. They needle again. I don't think they have a good target for it. I mean, they can name Moonsnare Prototype or something. They might just. Okay, they just name Relic. Sure. And they go with the Damnation. Yeah, I guess I'll get my Frogmite back. We can rebuild him. The 2/2, we can make him stronger. So replay that, replay out my Frogmite. And I don't see the reason to play another Moonsnare Prototype. I prefer to keep them in hand at this point. From next turn on, we can use them as removal. Kind of a weird game. Didn't expect Damnation here. I guess that is a mono black answer to, like I was talking about. Okay, they have a 2/1 pro white, and whenever we discard, some stuff happens. It gets a counter. So that is totally fine. They have a 3/2. Yeah, play a Springleaf Drum, I suppose. I'll attack. I'll trade here. That's fine. I know it turns off my ability to Moonsnare Prototype, but it's fine. Okay, they take it. They go to 5. They play Liliana. Okay. Sack a creature. Sure. Say bye to our 2/2. Kind of surprised they didn't take our last card there, but so it goes. And we take 3. Yeah, I mean, we just have so many good draws in our deck, right? Cast Sojourner's Companion. Free 4/4. And we can pass the turn. When they activate Liliana here, we can put something back on top of their deck or whatever. Maybe even the needle that's on the relic, just so we can mess with their graveyard or get a redraw off the relic or something. So they kind of have to put it on the bottom too, right? It's basically just a removal spell. They're thinking. Seems like it's probably a bad matchup for them. We're both kind of just linear decks looking to poop out some crappy creatures onto the board, but our crappy creatures are just kind of bigger and more numerous. Okay, they just pass without doing anything. Yeah, I guess I just do this. It does get to get a counter, which is funny because I'm channeling. Start by casting the Thought Monitor. They can still chump with their Mishra's Factory here. And they put Turak on the bottom in case people can't read that. We do have Orcish Bowmasters. So this will get to kill my Thaw Monitor. Before it dies, I can tap it for mana in response. Okay. Make a colorless. And it dies, unfortunately. Play Springleaf Drum. And let's just attack their life total. Not really too worried about Liliana here, when they don't even want to plus it themselves. And they trade for both creatures? No, they have a not dead after all. Okay. That's fine. So they ping us for another one. So that explains why they did that on Relic before they just had this that they wanted to use for value at some point. Okay, and we'll just play another 4/4, pass the turn. They're still in a pretty tough spot. Like they can draw more removal or whatever and just start chipping in on us. But 3 cards in hand to our 0. Yeah, they plus their Lily, discard a Grief. They're stuck on lands. After going through the 2 Urza sagas, Nettle Cyst is a pretty excellent draw. I think we want to play that and just equip it and attack straight away, probably. Like, I do lose the Germ doing this, but it means that they can't block profitably. So, let's go for it. They can make a sacrifice on their turn, but I guess it kind of works out the same then in that way. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have done this actually then, because they could have traded it off for these 2 2/2s. And then they would have just ended up with a 1/1 on board when they made me sacrifice this. Okay, but it's not mattering either way because they probably would have just made the same jump either way. Yeah, so I would have ended up with an extra creature, so that was maybe a little bit hasty of me. But they lose the Liliana here, presumably. Oh, it's a Voidwalker. That's cool. They can eventually play our companion. It costs 2 less right now, so 5 mana, 4 mana if they activate their factory. They can play a 4/4. Oh no, wait, sorry, it's free anyway. They could just play it if they want. That's cool. Okay, Shadow Spear doesn't do a whole bunch for us, so we'll just play it out. Pass the turn. And we're taking how much here? 5/7. So we need to draw something decent. We're actually going to be on 3 facing 2 unblockable creatures, so this game might have just slipped out of hand. Luckily, I don't think my punt mattered too much. Okay, I get to play a Thought Monitor. Go to 1 probably, although they probably just killed the Thought Monitor. Oh no, this just kills me straight away. They have 2 Bowmasters. Well, we were dead anyway, so doesn't matter. Okay, and then they have Liliana, they have Torak. Like, I'm trying to think, do we actually want these Metallic Rebukes? I don't think we really do. Like, those expensive cards are just not good against us anyway, so like, bringing in counter spells for them seems a bit silly. Like, I'm kind of happy if they're casting those cards in this matchup. Again, we're just on Team Never Mulligan. We have a million tap lands. We have a Synthesizer. We have a Companion. What could go wrong? I ask you that. YouTube comment section. What could go wrong? Opponent mulligans again. Never lucky. My commiserations to them. And they go to 5. That's unfortunate. These low land decks in Modern, like I think this mono black deck probably plays like 19 or 20 lands or something, maybe 21, but you're gonna get these type of hands pretty often when you're burning the midnight oil with your land count. I mean, this deck is doing it too, right? Especially when some of them are sagas. Maybe there's 2 Urborgs in your opening hand or something that don't really count as 2 land drops. But they are on the draw, so they do get to recover. John Avon art. Don't think of this as being a John Avon land. Looks great, doesn't it? Okay, so no play turn 1. Don't see a reason to not just run out the saga. Pass the turn. We have loads more artifact lands, so no reason to consider cycling a companion. Okay, they just play a Voidwalker, that's fine. And will they be able to deal with just us slamming this Synthesizer, is kind of my question. Because that's probably better than making a construct here. Like, is this just game winning if I play it rather than making a construct? Or do I slow roll it and get the value? I think I'm happy slow rolling it, because then I can get Pithing Needle for their saga. Like, they're kind of priced into making a construct this turn anyway themselves. Or else they just won't get any value out of their saga. Okay, they're actually not doing it. Does that mean they do have a Thoughtseize? Because if not, this is like quite a strange play. But like, I don't really care. Like, if it gets Thoughtseize, it gets Thoughtseized. It's whatever, you know? I mean, if they grief scam us here and take Companion plus Synthesizer and then they combo off, that's maybe a little scary. But I have faith that our next Synthesizer will get us there. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this was too greedy a play. It seems pretty reasonable to me, though. It'll be painful if we get punished for this one, to be honest. Obviously, just getting this guy down against mono black is great, though. Maybe I should have just valued that over everything else. Look at that guy getting. I guess he's getting synthesized, so he's being popped out of it. It looks like he's getting sucked up into it, though. You know what I mean? It looks like he's getting abducted. But if it's a synthesizer of Simulacrum, that can't be the case. And they do have Inquisition here. So they get to take Synthesizer. That's a pain in the ass. But that means they're tapping out. We get 2 constructs. They don't get any value out of Saga. And if they want to Damnation us or whatever, I mean, go crazy. They're down to 2 cards in hand. There's another one. We drew Tormod's Crypt, which is great. And yeah, I can't exactly like play around Damnation here by not doing this or whatever. I think that would be very silly. I could get Grafdigger's Cage just for value. Again, we have no green mana, so this Haywire Might is looking a little bit silly. Could get a Welding Jar to protect something from Damnation. That might not be the worst idea. A lot of good looking options here. I'm going to be playing Tormod's Crypt after this resolve, so I don't need to consider like getting Relic, because or I could get Grafdigger's Cage, but also doesn't seem too relevant. What are they likely getting? They're probably getting Pithing Needle. And then they could just like name Welding Jar or whatever. So maybe I just want to go Needle on Saga. I think I probably do. Yeah, let's just go Needle on Saga so they just can't get any value from their Saga. And then we can play a Crypt. play a Misfill Bridge, and swing for 7. I don't want to play the Ornithopter into the possible damnation here. And if we get griefed, we're not getting scammed at least, because the Tormod's Crypt will protect us from that. I suppose they can always needle it here, but that's perfectly fine if that's what they want to do. It means they can also play our Synthesizer, which is quite funny. If they decide to Damnation, they can sack one of their guys first. But if they do that, we have 4 Moonsnare prototypes and an Otawara to bounce it back to our hand, so that's probably not the best thing for them to do. And they're thinking here. Maybe putting them to 12 was a consideration, playing at the Ornithopter, playing at these guys, but it seemed like overcommitting to the board. It seems like just 2 big old constructs is the right place to be here. I feel like our top deck should be better than theirs as well. Like, we can top deck Synthesizers, we can top deck Forging the Anchor. Another Saga even is probably better than it is for them, because our targets should be better, I think. They're tanking on this one. The rack isn't going to help you, buddy, I can tell you that much. Bum, bum, bum. And they get, well, I guess I'm wrong. They go with the rack. And they just have a needle in hand to play. Okay. And we're going to see this on... It's got to be Crypt, right? It could be on Shadow Spear, it could be on something else, I don't know. They only have 2 cards though, so they can't grief scam us at this point either. I kind of think they just don't have a good target for Needle. They could do it on Otawara or on Moonsnare prototype. That stops us from bouncing that stuff. But I guess their plan here is just like attack us down to 11, hope we dump our hand, and then attack us for 6 and hope the rack does some damage as well. Like maybe they have a second copy of the rack in hand and they're hoping that they can just sneak in lethal on our upkeep that way. In which case, what would they be naming with the needle? Probably Moonsnare prototype, I would imagine. What they're really thinking. This has been a long match, interesting match. 2 kind of goofy Saga decks fighting it out. They named Tormod's Crypt, okay. I suppose it's just on board, it's just a guaranteed target that might do something. Okay, we don't take any damage from the rack. They certainly can have Fatal Push up here. Like again, it just doesn't seem... We can't get Damnation though, is the thing. So... I'm kind of tempted to play like at least 1 Sojourner out. Because let's say it's like 2 copies of the rack is their last 2 cards in hand, and that they're slow rolling. And then I play out a Sojourner. Attack, well no, then they'd just be dead. So they have to have at least 1 Fatal Push in hand. So let's say we play nothing out. We put them to 6. They untap, they put us to 5 with these 2. And then they only have 2 cards, they can't grief scam us. So they can't take 2 cards out of our hand. It would have to be like double Thoughtseize put us down to 2 cards, and then we're just taking 1 from the rack going to 4. Like, I'm just not really seeing how I would die there. So I'm going to cast one of these guys. And then just leaving 3 cards in hand. It's tough to see how I lose. They can have Bowmasters here as well, like to double chump block or whatever, but that's kind of a blank. They do indeed have a Bowmasters. Put us to 10. So now we'll be going to 4 from these guys. They're on 5. So we're going to 4. Their last card can be like another copy of the rack. Then their 2 copies of the rack do 1 each, and if they draw Thoughtseize as their card next turn, they would do 2 each, and they would actually kill us. That is like playing around the top of their deck. And I doubt they even play 4 copies of the rack. I think it's so unlikely that they have like Thoughtseize rack as these 2 exact cards. It's just not worth playing around. And if they have it, they have it. And if there's some other combination of cards I'm not considering here, so be it, for why I should have left an extra card in hand. Because we didn't see any copies of Shrieking Affliction games 1 or 2. Or any other copies of the rack. I know the games didn't really play out in such a way where those would have been good, but I just don't see them being that heavy on the team. Okay, now we take the game 2-1. So GG's to our opponent. Good match as always, and I'll see you guys in the next round. Alright guys, back here for round 5 of the challenge against True Hero. Very good player from Italia, as far as I know. I know he likes Omnath decks and Goryo's Vengeance sometimes. I think those are the 2 things I've seen him play recently. Our hand, not so good. I'm gonna mulligan this one, just very slow, doesn't do very much. This one, also kind of slow, but at least can maybe get an early Thought Monitor going. I'm thinking of putting back the Otawara here, to be honest. Because Artifact Land plus 2 of these means just a 1 mana Frogmite, a 0 mana Frogmite. And then we're so close to just playing the Thought Monitor, but I think we can put back the second land here, and then any second land is just an excellent draw. Had my coffee in between rounds, so I should be revitalized to break into the top half of this tournament here with a positive record. Okay, second land is great, even the tap land, especially like it's an artifact, right? So tap lands in Affinity are funny. They're a tap land, but they're kind of not a tap land for multiple spells sometimes. Elegant Parlor, don't know what that's about. Could be creativity, would be my first bet. We'll see if the second land is a mountain as well. It's not. Okay. So Domain Zoo or Omnath is kind of what I'm thinking now, or it could just be like blue-white control, playing all the colors type of thing. Now, do I want to play this tap land, or do I want to play Urza Saga? Kind of an interesting one. If I play tap land, 0-0, or the other order, probably I'll go 0-0 tap land. I have 4 artifacts. I can play 2 Frogmites for free. I have 6 artifacts. I can play Thought Monitor. So I'm going to go with that. We're just going to dump the hand and hope this Thought Monitor does some work. So the classic Affinity start here. And we draw a Sojourner's Companion that we can play as well and pass the turn. So just casually with a pretty, medium looking open in hand, we get to put 11 power into play on turn 2. It's pretty strong. This turn we can play a Saga. I'm guessing it's control. We could be running into like a Tishana's Tidebinder here or something like that maybe. But I would more expect like a Leyline Binding. Is there a reason to not attack with the Memnite? Am I scared of like Tidebinder? I mean, they would play it now, right? If they had a Tidebinder, is the thing. I think I just attack with everything. 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Yeah, let's just attack with everything except Ornithopter, of course. You stay back, buddy. Okay, no blocks. Opponent goes to 9. And even if they have Supreme Verdict next turn, we're going to start making a lot of constructs, so not so bad. Okay, so it's a fire, so it must be some kind of Omnath deck. Yeah, Cosmic Rebirth, getting a land back into play. So we don't have Kahira in the deck, however. So that makes me think, what type of creatures are they playing if they don't have the Kahira restriction on creature types? Could be Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines. Could be Nissa Resurgent Animist in the deck. Because normally the package is you just kind of play Kahira and then you have Solitudes and Subtleties and maybe some Endurances or whatever. And Omnaths. Those are all elementals, so you can have Kahira. So to not have it, you would want to be breaking that rule, right? So I think Elesh Norn is maybe the most likely. Could just be something crazy like Orcish Bowmasters or something, but kind of doubtful. Okay, they put a Boseiju in the bin with that Thundering Falls. Probably the One Ring coming here. Oh, it's Omnath, okay. So yeah, Omnath, they draw. And they do have a fetch land to back it up with. Wow, Cosmic Rebirth is a great card, huh? Gain 3 ramp, essentially, at instant speed for them there. What is this? If it's, mana value 3 or less, put it on the battlefield. It's a very good card. Can maybe work with the Surveil lands too. Obviously, I doubt this deck has like Risen Reef in it or something like that, but that would be pretty wild to to do. Okay, and we're seeing a Temple Garden. They have 5 mana. Red and 6, okay. So it's maybe a reason to take out our Memnites post board. And they're getting Boseiju back into hand, probably killing our 4/4 or something. Prismatic ending on a Memnite, okay. And let's see if they want a Boseiju. Maybe the Saga. Okay, oh, sorry, it's 1 mana for Boseiju because they have a legend. So maybe they do it in our upkeep or something like that. Okay, they go to our main phase. They let us do that. If I attack them with everything, they chump a Frogmite. They take 8. They go to 3. Are they going to want to do that? Obviously, they go to 7 after they play a land on their turn. Then they can go to 11. If it's a fetch land and they wait till our turn. I think I just want to kill Ren and 6. They got 4 cards. They might not have the ring in hand. And that is Ren and 6 down. Okay, and I'm going to play a second Saga. And I'm going to hold this Frogmite just for the possibility that they have Supreme Verdict, and of course, because we can draw one of our Simulacrum Synthesizers. Okay, they go Boseiju on this guy. We'll make a construct. It will go get an island. Possible we should have like a green-blue surveil land in this deck, maybe cut a spell just for the times we get Boseju'd, because it does happen a lot, so it would be nice to have access to a green source for our Haywire Mites or whatever. Okay, and another fetch, so they're going up to 15. Chalice on 0 is fine. Feels like they have a Solitude. I'm still probably just gonna swing with everything here. Feels kind of forced, even if they have all this extra life with Omnath. Omnath has been such a staple in Modern, man. It's wild. Even after the Orion bans and everything, people just slowly realized, hey, this card's still really good. Okay, there's a Synthesizer. Something we can do post-combat. We only knew about one Boseiju that they got back with Ren and 6, right? So no reason to suspect another. Let's say I'm getting through for 4, putting them to 11. I mean, this just makes this an 8-8. This is 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I'm going to do this because this actually just forces a chump block on the construct if I attack with everything. If they don't have removal. And I still get the Scry too and the Tutor from Urza Saga if they do have removal. So I'm going to value this over making a construct this turn. We Scry 2, put this on the bottom, put the Companion on top, cast the Frogmite. This is going to make this 10-10, and then we'll get another token, it'll be 11-11. And then attacking with everything, they'll be taking 15 if they block the 4-4. So they will have to chump and block the 11-11. This is assuming they have no removal or whatever, but considering we got the Scry 2, we can remake a construct next turn. We go get to Tutor something next turn. It's like I like my chances, even if we can't attack with that guy. Even if we get blown out here, it just can't be too bad, I feel like. Oh, I forgot they gained the life, so yeah, we're not dead if they don't jump. So maybe they just kill a Frogmite or something, but I'm pretty happy with that either way. Doesn't really change the equation. And they are going for the greedy route. Okay, maybe they do have a Solitude then. Maybe that's what's happening. No, they're still going for the chump. Okay, so they just gained the life, but they jump anyway. And they're on 10. We're drawing Sojourner's Companion, which will make another construct, and we get to make one with Urza Saga as well. So the deck is taking along nicely, doing what it does. Second Omnath? No, there's a One Ring. Okay. So it's something I can Haywire Mite. Or Needle, but, you know, it's a permanent answer. If I Haywire Mite it, we would compromise the One Ring to a permanent end. Okay, there's our draw. Make a construct. Can consider getting some other stuff as well here, right? We could get a relic, or we could get something else. But oh, we don't have Haywire Mite in the main. Okay, well that makes it. But yeah, and we don't have Pithing Needle in the main. That makes it a little bit easier then. So here I can play around Supreme Verdict in that case by getting Welding Jar. Shadow Spear makes One Ring lose indestructible, but I don't actually have any way to take advantage of that. Lava Sphere Boots doesn't really help. Yeah, I think we just got Welding Jar. And then we can just pass the turn. Protection wears off. another Surveil land. So this is number 4. Love it. Love to see it. Leyline Binding goes in the ring, or on the ring in the bin. So it does look like they're looking for Supreme Verdict here, which one of our little dudes will survive. Kind of interesting. Do you want to save a construct or do you want to save a 4/4? The construct will just be a 4/4 anyway, right? So that's what we'd be saving, because then it'll be bigger again the next turn. Maybe an argument for having a Needle or a Haywire Might in the main here, just to be able to deal with this card a little bit easier. There is a Teferi, that's fine. Bouncing the ring, okay, so they just get to replay the ring. And 4 cards in hand, so interesting to see if they draw from it again, or if the life total is a little low. No, they go for the draw again. And I mean, they're maybe choosing to whether to Leyline Binding my Synthesizer here or something. Or they can't be, right? They don't have black. Yeah, they never got black mana. So it costs 2 currently. I'm thinking about their decision to register Teferi Time Raveler. I joke, it's a good card. Never owned a copy of one of these in paper. I just thought, there's no. I wasn't really playing paper when this was around in standard, and then it was just always expensive, so I was like, screw it. But definitely a powerful game piece. I do own these bad boys. Playing a lot of this modern. I'm trying to consider what I'm going to be playing in Amsterdam next month. And I don't know, to be honest. All right, let's just attack with like 4 guys on Teferi. I don't think it matters, but should make sure it dies. And I suppose play a land. It's possible they have Days Undoing and Nurse It in their deck. I don't really think this type of deck plays it, though. It's more for the straight blue-white deck. But either way, no reason to really leave lands in hand. It's like if I draw Forging the Anchor or something like that, I'll be happy to have the extra mana, quite possibly. And we might see the opponent get to play a bunch of rings in a row here and get to stay alive for quite a while. In which case our guys, our 14/14s, just sit here looking silly on the other side of the battlefield. Look at that chonky construct. So they go to 7, they draw up to 8 cards. And we do have a Supreme Verdict. I will attempt to save one of my constructs. Unlike Wrath of God, the creature can be regenerated from Supreme Verdict. So we still have a 6/6, and they play a second ring. And they choose currently not to use it. They might draw at the end of our turn. Okay, let's cast 1 Sojourner's Companion here, refill the board a little bit. And we'll leave the other one in hand, just because, I mean, I don't know how many verdicts they can play. It's possible they play 2 verdicts, but maybe I could think about just deploying everything to the board here. Because it's more likely we're going to see spot removal at this point. But I feel like these guys are just so big that, you know, even through an Omnath, we have a good shot of closing out the game. There is a Teferi that will deal with one of them. Sure. We haven't seen any counter spells from the opponent so far either, 0 copies, so that's something we maybe got to start looking out for. Okay, they take the Synthesizer with this. That was another reason I maybe could have considered playing this out, but this is still a 4/4 on its own. Second Teferi, wow. Okay, so yeah, this exact sequence, it would have been nice to have the extra creatures. They still need to be able to kill this guy as well, because they are taking 2 from the ring currently. They need a Solitude or another Leyline Binding. Okay, they do have a Solitude pitching Leyline Binding, so pretty nice. And yeah, making me wish I had played out the Sojourner's Companion again. Maybe 1 copy of Supreme Verdict is all they have, in which case I feel a little silly, but I felt like it was worth playing around. I'm going to cast Forging the Anchor first here. I'm going to draw 5 cards as off Forging the Anchor. Holy crap, what a ridiculous Magic card. There's no way for me to cast Synthesizer this turn. I think I'm just gonna play everything out except the Synthesizer here, I think. Oh, I can't play the zeros, right, of course, because of the Chalice. Little punt there, but it's whatever, you know, what do they do in hand anyway? So next turn I can go Synthesizer into Companion, refill the board a little bit. They must have Counterspell up at this point though, right? Like we haven't seen a single copy, and they've only 20 cards left in their deck, so presumably they run some copies of it. Sorry to everyone that the cards have gotten so small on the screen. This happens when... There we go, that's probably better, right? This happens when the battlefield gets so big. They do have Elish Norn, so that actually turns off Simulacrum Synthesizer, so they kind of found what they were looking for, and that is why they're not playing Gahira. Damn, it turns that off as well. But we still get to play these out. Teferi can't bounce anything at the moment. And I will just do this and then pass the turn. And we can still maybe attack for 2 in the air. But yeah, if I hadn't forgotten about the zeros being turned off, I probably would have been happier leaving Moonsnare Prototype in hand, so I could bounce something. Something I didn't think of. There's an Omnath. Wow, they get both triggers straight away here. Pretty wild. Okay, and a Fable as well, man. Okay, so we get to basically see their whole deck here. Maybe they just don't have any counter spells in their deck. I feel like they must, but it's possible they don't. Okay, second Fable, and they're going to be able to close the game out pretty damn fast here, especially with the third Omnath trigger. Synthesizer won't do it because it doesn't beat the Elish Norn, so we can just scoop it up, go to game 2. Let me know what you guys think there, if that was a mistake to play around the second Supreme Verdict or not. Very easily could have been. Do I want Metallic Rebuke? This seems like the matchup for it, right? Cheap counterspell, can get under Teferi. It looks pretty silly though if they do get to resolve Teferi, but I don't think we mind that much. Pithing Needle, obviously good against the One Ring. Cursed Totem not doing anything. Damping Sphere not doing anything. I think these 4 are just what we were looking for. And we can cut the Memnites. Well, let's cut the Relic for sure. Even though they have Cosmic Rebirth and stuff, I don't think it's that good. They have Wrenn and 6. Do I actually want to cut the Memnites is what I'm thinking. We can probably cut the Welding Jar, because I think the only spell that it works against in their deck is Supreme Verdict. The rest of their stuff is all exile-based removal. So I don't know if I want to cut all of these. I kind of just want to overwhelm them. Let's cut 2 Memnites. We'll keep 2. That's still a decent amount of speed with all our drum effects. Okay, so we have Saga, 2 drums, 2 Frogmites, Synthesizers. It's just not enough. It's a case where if we had a 0, I might consider keeping this hand. But still maybe not post board, because they can have the White March spell or just another, disenchant effect to get rid of our Saga. So I think I'm happier just mulliganing this, to be honest. And yeah, this looks a little bit better. 3 artifact lands. I think we can put back one of the tapped artifact lands. Keep the zeros for a little burst of speed here with the thought monitor. Possibly should have played those turn 1 here to play around the chalice on 0, which is another reason to consider cutting more zeros, but they don't have it. That's nice. Okay, let's play this out. And I think I do just want to... I want to play the Ornithopter. I don't want to play the Memnite into Wrenn and 6 on turn 2. But I'll play at the Ornithopter, just to kind of hedge my bets against Chalice being drawn. Oh, and I have a cat growling in the background. Wants her dinner, even though I gave them a little bribe of food to be quiet. Prismatic ending on an Ornithopter, sure. Kind of a little bit awkward as a play, but maybe they just need to use their mana. It's pretty respectable. Do I want to play around Tishana's Tidebinder here? By like making a construct in their upkeep or something? I don't think so, because then it just gets bounced by Teferi. How likely is Teferi to still be in their deck, though, at this point? I don't know. Okay, they go Wrenn and 6 anyway, so that's fine. Okay, end of turn. Let's make a construct. Let's make another construct. They get a top land, sure. And I think here I'm just going to go for the Lava Spur Boots. This is not a play I've had the pleasure of making yet. So let's do this and see if they have a Solitude. They do not. So we can go 6 to the face and 7 to them, knowing that they can't get rid of this guy. Unless they have a Force of Vigor and a Solitude or something, but that would be quite a few cards. And then we can pass the turn. And was that the land they got back last turn? Let me just check. Windswept Heath is what they got back, so we didn't know about that Flooded Strand. And they have Supreme Verdict, that's fine. 4 artifacts currently in play. We can get up to 6 with this. Ooh, that is a nice one. That is a nice one. So let's play a Memnite to make the mana. Play out the Synthesizer. Could have played out the Thought Monitor this turn too. But I feel like setting it up like this is okay. I guess since they can play Elish Norn, maybe this was a mistake. I probably should have just jammed the Thought Monitor. But I felt like those cards were just going to rot in my hand if I did that. There is Teferi. Okay, well, that's not so bad. That would just be bouncing my Thought Monitor anyway. If they don't kill the Memnite, that still leaves us with a way to make blue mana, which is cool. Yep, so I'll play that. Get to play out my Thought Monitor. That is going to get Leyline Bindinged. Okay, and we are going to lose the Simulacrum Synthesizer because of that. Okay, and now so I can still attack with haste with this guy, which is nice. Still take out the Teferi. So we are sort of battling through what we need to battle through here, I feel like, and we do have another Synthesizer in hand, so not the end of the world. But let's pass the turn, see what they got. They have another Solitude, and they can pay for the ward here. Okay, I need to turn off my auto yields in that case, because I would like to attach these booties to my Memnite, make it a little bit more annoying for them, and then we'll pass the turn and see what they got. Okay, so they get the Omnath down, and it looks like we're losing 2 of these. This is our upkeep. We only have access to 4 mana, so I'm not able to channel this guy in response. So we're just going to have to let that happen and say, okay, that's not the worst Force of Vigor in the world, right? And in fact, that is a great draw. That is an absolutely great draw. Okay, let's bottom both of these. Get to play a Frogmite, make a dude, pass the turn. So again, straight over back up to having a 7/7. Their Teferi is still on 2 here. We don't have to worry about something getting bounced. They plus, and they're getting a Fable. That's not too scary here either. And okay, loads we can do this turn. So do I want to start with the prototype? I think I do. Just make our guys bigger. Let's tap our Memnite. We can cast a Nettle Cyst. And we have Boseiju on the Synthesizer. Okay. So we don't get that little bit of value out of that one. Get to go Living Weapon though. And let's cast a Sojourner as well to make this guy a little bit bigger. And yeah, let's kill Teferi because it's worth a card when they minus it and kill a construct or whatever. So at least we get to trade for that card for their Goblin token. They do get to filter a card here. They discard a Sacred Foundry, so they get to see a fresh one. But we have a massive board here. They've dealt with a couple of Synthesizers, but still looking like we're in great shape here in this game too. They do get to get rid of our construct and draw another card. There is a fetch, putting them up to 14. And another Fable, putting them down to 0 cards. So we have Otawara and we have a Nettle Cyst. I don't have lethal here, obviously. They can gain another 4 life, go to 18. So even if we were to like Nettle Cyst, play Otawara equipped to something, they could still just chump with the Fable token. So I think what I like doing is just attacking with these 2 creatures on the right. And seeing what they do. They might just take the damage, they might whatever. I'm happy if they trade off here. Looks like they're just going for a jump on this. It's pretty respectable as well. Okay, and they go to 10, and in terms of the Otawara, it's like, do I want to... I think I just want to keep it in hand, and we can just play out this Nettle Cyst. I was thinking, you know, when they go to crack the fetch, I can bounce their Omnath so they don't get the life gain and all that, but I don't think that really progresses the game very much. They replay the Omnath, they get to draw a new card, just gives them another look for a sweeper. And I don't think their life gain does very much here in the face of these like gigantic creatures. They just have a lot to deal with here with 0 cards in hand. They do get to Surveil, and they have another Fable coming onto 2 counters. So this deck, not out of it by all means. They have a good number of looks for like the One Ring or whatever they're looking for. They're taking their time on this Surveil. No, it gets a land, it goes in the bin. Okay. So if they drew a blank, they get to replace it, and they end up with another blocker. Pity we didn't end up with any flyers in play. Let's see what happens here. If they want to discard or not, they do discard a Temple Garden. And they flip that one. Their last card is yet another Fable. So just March of the Fables here every single turn. Thought Monitor has to be a good draw, right? I would like to draw 2 cards, please. Okay, we don't have enough mana to Moonsnare Prototype. We do have enough mana to bounce something. So let me just make sure I'm not being stupid. If I like bounce the token and then attack with everything, then they could, what, like block 4, block 10. No, that would still leave them dead, so they have to block both the 10s. So yeah, let's just bounce this. And attack with everything. No reason to play the Ornithopter, because they just chump anyway, it's the same thing. So they lose both their creatures, they go to 6, and yet again they get to see another card with Chapter 2 of Fable. It's just endless here. They ditch a Leyline Binding, they flip a Fable, they have 1 card, and it's a One Ring, so they get to live another day, which is wild. Okay, so I know like a Fable doesn't help them. So at this point, do I want to just put this Reflection on top of their deck? That could definitely be the play. I think I just wait for them to draw, because they're gonna have another like flipped Reflection anyway. That is annoying though, actually, because they'll be able to make copies. They're destroying this guy. I think that's okay. I don't think that makes a big difference. Now, okay. I'm trying to think, do I want to Moonsnare Prototype this back to the top of my deck? That seems like it might be a little bit slow, but also I'm kind of running out of threats. I think I am going to do that, but also they can just start making like a lot of blockers with the Reflections here. Is an issue, but no, I am going to do that because the threat of just putting the Nettle Cyst on a flyer can just be lethal, right? So that leaves them needing like quite a specific answer. They go to 5. They do get to flip this. I mean, if they draw like a Solitude here, it's pretty good for them or whatever. I can't deny that. Okay, they get to replace their ring. So now they can start making some Fable tokens. We do get our Nettle Cyst back. I don't see any reason not to just play it out again. we're just going to be passing the turn. Nothing doing while they got the ring protection up. And if they draw a Solitude here and get to copy it a bunch of times with Reflection, that's going to be pretty nasty. I don't know how we're going to get out of that one, to be honest. We might still have enough creatures to do it, though. Okay, they're losing a life. They go to 3. Do you guys believe? Can we do it? I had that draw stop for Moonsnare Prototype, but I didn't end up using it. Okay, Elish Norn. Not a big deal. Doesn't work with Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Does give them double Solitude triggers, though. This is nasty. So they actually get to remove everything? Oh my god. So maybe I just needed to play these zeros out too? I mean, I can just do it next turn and equip the things. No, I mean, they can make 8 guys, so it wouldn't make a difference anyway. Good lord. This is some pretty powerful magic we're seeing right now. And they all have haste, so we're going to get attacked for a bunch as well. Lifelink. So I don't know if we can actually get out of this one. Lava Spur boots are in the graveyard, so... Yeah, playing these guys out, they just would have been able to make 4 more Solitudes, so... They attack with these guys. Oh, they're tapped out. They don't want to... Yeah, I would have maybe kept one of these back, right, because they're gaining life, so they could have made another one on our turn. Maybe it just doesn't matter, though. I think it's pretty tough for them to lose from here either way. Oh, but they don't get to keep any Solitudes, though. They're still down to 1 card. I'm just going to play all my dudes out. If they have another Solitude, screw it. And let's just get these on these heroic 0 drops. Pass the turn. I think they're pretty likely to just find another Solitude here or another Leyline Binding, though, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to win. We are on 34, so maybe they just don't. Maybe the last 2 rings are the last 2 cards in their deck, and we pull it out like that. I don't know. No, it is a Solitude. That's going to clear our board again. Unbelievable. We're gaining another 20 or so life, though. That's pretty cool. But this is a hard cast Solitude, too, so we basically just never get something else in play. And that last ring is going to do it. What a great game. That was super good fun. Fair play to the opponent for taking it. Pretty awesome board state at the end there. And I'm going to leave it at that, guys, for the video. 2-3 in the challenge, and I don't really want to play out the last 2 rounds to just, you know, try and make top 32 or whatever. And so I'll leave it there at 2-3. Hopefully you guys got some good experience just looking at the deck and seeing what it can do. Some close matches, definitely some different choices I could have made. But hopefully this was informative for you guys. So thanks for watching. Give the channel a like, or give the video a like, give the channel a subscribe if you're so inclined. Thank you.